Okay, so I just wanted to talk about some things that scared me in my childhood when I was younger. Like, some stuff of it doesn't like scare me nowadays, but some stuff still does. So the first thing I'm gonna start off with is some logos for, some scenes in movies. So the first one I remember vividly being scared of is the scene in 101 Dalmatians, Patch's London Adventure, and it's the scene where Thunderbolt, like, he has the tryout scene, and one of the dogs actually terrified me. So it was like this old hound dog with a bandage on its tail, and it doesn't bark. He just gives a small weak bark, and then he suddenly howls, and that's how it goes on for ages, even though it's split up by different scenes. And that scene actually made me start whimpering. Like the second one, this movie was one of my favorite movies growing up. Like it's Lady and the Tramp, and I was scared of it. There was like three scenes in it that made me uncomfortable. The first one was when Lady was a puppy, and Jim Dear and Darling they shut the door on him, no her, and she tries to get out. Like, but they put a chair in the way, and then she starts whining, and then she starts howling, and that got me. Like, especially with the howl she does when she reaches their bed. Like, that was so loud. And the second time I was scared in the movie is the scene where Tramp yells about the log puller. So basically, they go to this zoo, and there's a beaver at the zoo who's busy chewing on like some logs, and he's like, hello, how can I help you? Not, and then the beaver's like, oh, no, not yet, Sonny. I just need to do this. And then he just starts looking at this lady's muzzle, and then he goes, what do you need is a log puller. And then the beaver's like chewing away, and then out of the blue he just yells, I said a log puller, and the screen like shakes. And the way he yells it actually made me really uncomfortable. The third time, like, I know I wasn't crying over Trusty's death, but it's what Jock does when he thinks he's dead. Like, it's the very last scene before the freaking movie ends. So, basically, they've saved Tramp from the pound, but then Lady notices that Jock is upset because Trusty was injured by the wagon. Trusty is like actually just unconscious, but Jock is like nuzzling him, trying to get him to wake up. And when he can't seem to wake up, Jock sits back, he whimpers, and then he howls, and then the scene just pans out to the final scene. Like, that is not a good way to end the movie. Like, I know that's when Annette, Danielle, and Colette and Scamp appear in the like next scene, but that scene actually just got me so scared. Now this one I'm actually still scared of to this day. It's any in time in the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies where Dave yells Alvin. Like I the first time I got scared was watching it. I think it was the Chipwreck movie, and it's the scene when they're singing Trouble, and they're causing havoc on the cruise, and then Alvin just like starts rapping, and then Dave's trying to get to him, and then when Alvin like jumps away, that's when Dave just yells his name down the mic, and everyone's covering their ears, and I think the cruise ship's horn goes off, and that made me very scared. I literally started crying. I think like I was actually so scared. Now I think there were some other scenes in movies that might have scared me. I don't really know, but I think I'm trying to still remember the name of this movie that had a African grey parrot who was crowing like a cockerel outside of a person's house on like their mailbox. Like that scene went on for ages, and I got really upset over it. Okay, so moving on to like TV shows. Like, this was the first instance my mum found out about me having misophonia. So I won't name the name of this show because I absolutely hate this show. But I'm just gonna call it Poopy Pork. And it usually once an episode, Poopy will greet her friends by snorting and saying hello, name or friend, and then they just do something like bah, hello Poopy, or woof woof, hello Poopy, or meow, hello Poopy, or neigh, hello Poopy. And that always used to get me really upset. And I think there was another instance where the old rabbit, there was an episode where they went to a dinosaur park, and at the end, he does something similar to another trigger, which kind of scares me and still does now. And he goes, "Oh," like at the beginning of SpongeBob, like when Painty the Pirate does that, and that the scene where he goes, "Oh," in the intro, that just really makes me uncomfortable. But if the truthful square variant doesn't like scare me because he just is like, "Oh," but it's whenever someone does something like that, it kind of made me nervous or uncomfortable as well. Like that's probably one of the reasons I don't really like SpongeBob, because I'm just scared of Painty the Pirate. Like it kind of makes me really uncomfortable, and I'm actually kind of glad that the movies don't have that intro for that, except for like, the very first one, or Sponge Out of Water. But I think Search for SquarePants and like the Sponge on a Run, they don't have those. But I'm still a huge hater of SpongeBob. Like, there's some other instances, like other TV shows, like in Iconicles. There's an episode of Iconicles called Mungo's Tummy Trouble, and it's a scene where Mungo and Sky they start screaming at each other. But I think I was actually more scared of when Sky screams to Rample the Rhino, and that kind of made me very uncomfortable. And this one is a fear I still have. It's Robert the Robot from Justin's House. Like, he makes me very uncomfortable. Just seeing a guy covered in silver face paint makes me very uncomfortable to look at. Like, who accepted the fact that he was on a kids show looking like that? Like, I know some people might not be afraid of him, but I kind of was. Now, the next one, this happens, this is known to happen a lot in the TV show, but it's mainly scared me in the intro, and it's the, like, beginning to the show Big Barn Farm, when Lester the Cockerel crows before the theme song starts. Because I have a heavy misophonia of cockerels crowing. Like, I always have been triggered, I think, since I was young. But the fact there's a cow character in that show actually doesn't help, because I'm also terrified of cows, specifically when they moo. Because, like, there's a cow in Paw Patrol that's one of the reasons I don't watch Paw Patrol with the sound on. And I don't really like watching stuff that has cows in. But there has been a scene in Iconicals where Miss Moo has mowed, and it's. And the way she just says "moo," and that didn't scare me. And then we have some more really noticeable like things that scared me. Like the first one, I bet you didn't know this, but I was actually a bit scared of the like scene in Zingzillas where Granite and Gravels both say "it's the last coconut." Like, I think it's the way one of them says it, but I wasn't fazed when they say, "Oh, look, it's coconut number something." And, like, but it's the way they said the last coconut one of them does, and it actually made me uncomfortable. But, that doesn't faze me nowadays. I just get a little wary over it, but, like, does anyone else remember the show Animal Mechanicals? Because, like, I loved that show when I was little, but I only saw it like once when I was little, and I think it's a Mechana Hamster Playground or something it was called episode. And I was watching it when my mum was in bed, and I was like literally laid on my dad's stomach. And you think like I wouldn't be scared of this show, like even though I love it? Well, I was wrong. So you've got five main characters. You've got Rex, Unicorn, Komodo, Mouse, and the one I will not name because I absolutely hate him. But just picture him as this weird blue toothy guy with the most scariest voice known to man, who can stretch out. And unfortunately in this episode I think Komodo goes, "Oh, we can't reach up there. You know who else would be able to stretch up there?" And then he goes, "No, who can stretch up there?" And then after a beat he goes, "I know, I can stretch up there." And then he transforms, and then I think, at the start of his transformation, he just goes to be kind of stretchy, and then it sounds like "Gah," or something like that, and that scared me. Like, it made me start shaking. And there has been some other scenes in like animated stuff that has scared me. Because does anyone remember the show Zoo? You know, like Zoo the zebra. There's a scene in one of the episodes where Zoo roars at his pet bird and the bird's like, ah! And that, like, doesn't help because I've always hated, like, animal sound impressions. Thanks to Poo People. And this doesn't help because Zoo kept doing the roaring, I think. And then there's another thing I remember being scared of. I think, like, I know this isn't like the time of year to be discussing like Christmas films, but there was a scene in Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas where Max and Goofy they fight over this teddy, and the teddy rips, and that terrified me. And then he just starts playing with the ripped teddy, and that made me feel so uncomfortable. Anyways, does anyone else remember the movie Home on the Range? Because that movie actually scared the living god crap out of me. Because, you know, there's a cockerel in that movie. He just talks and stuff, but he does not crow. And you know who's in charge of that? A cute little chick. The first time the chick comes on screen is at the end of the Little Patch of Heaven song, and like, it cuts out to the cockerel. He's like snoozing, and then the chick just comes out and he goes cock-a-doodle-doo, and it's like an actual crow, and then he puffs his chest up during his crow, and it scared me. Like, he even scared his own dad. And then it happens quite a few times in the movie, like when they're fighting the evil baddie, and then at the very end of the movie, after Maggie, Grace, and Miss Calloway have like saved the day. Also, there's like some others, like one of my most specific triggers, one of my things I'm still terrified of today is these horrible, multicolored, singing CGI birds from a show that is the last show that CBeebies airs on the schedule. I won't mention what show it is, but these birds scared the bejesus out of me. My mum keeps saying I liked them, but no, how wrong is that? Like, I was absolutely scared to death of these birds, especially the toucan, because of the noise it does. I'm actually just glad that toucans don't make that noise in real life. But what was Ragdoll Limited thinking? Bro. You call that show child friendly? Nah, it's Nightmare Fuel. Like, this lot has a scary logo at the end of their show. And I'm like, oh, you can't get more scarier than that. Like, bro. Anyways, that's all I have to talk about today. About some of the stuff that scared me in my childhood. So, see ya. Bye.